today. So I have a bone to pick. That's fine. That's why I have a YouTube channel. And that is the concept of goal-oriented spirituality. So I reposted a post that I had done years ago about forgiveness, something that, victims of abuse or trauma, anyone dealing with something, for some reason, they get pushed by a lot of people to forgive, to forgive the person who hurt them. And like, if you don't, you're spiritually deficient, in a sense. It's very, very invalidating. If you're at a certain point in your process, that's not what you need. When you're at a different point in your process, maybe it's what you need. So anyway, but I see similar thought patterns. No offense to honestly, I think of it in terms of Oprah, because truly she is the first person that I really remember making a lot of this stuff mainstream. Anger is drinking poison, hoping the other person's gonna die. Stuff like that. Like, no, but yes, but no. We are human beings and we have human feelings for a reason. Anger is like a really important tool. That's a really important piece of information for us to have. Like, oh, I am angry because a specific person has done something not okay, and I'm now aware of that, and also I'm being given, energetically or whatever, the motivation to do something about it. We need our anger. We need our fear. Just as much as we need, like, our love. Like, so I, as I've said before, I grew up in a New Thought community that was very, they operated off the idea that they were different from other churches because other churches believed in sin, but like ours didn't. But what they did do was kind of, create sin out of like the natural, normal human experience. So if something happened to you, you were supposed to immediately kind of go, oh, let me find the positive piece of this. I'm letting go and I'm moving past. And it's, again, very goal-oriented spirituality. Because the goal is enlightenment, right? I'm enlightened. This stuff doesn't bother me. And the thing is, sure, there are people that have, like, they're there, and stuff doesn't bother them. Like, good for them. That's great, The rest of us aren't necessarily those people, and that's fine. Spirituality, religion, all of that is supposed to be a process, a practice, something that you come back to renew yourself and your spirit and your faith. It's not a thing to check off a list. You're like, I'm done, I'm enlightened, shit don't bother me now. Someone murders my child and I'm just supposed to be like, oh, not feel feelings about that. Forgive them, we do typically see forgiveness as a spiritual process in historically oppressed communities, and so for example, I want to say it was that dude who busted into the black church and like murdered a bunch of people. Maybe this is why I like writing, because I can like look my stuff up and then like cross-reference it, but I think I'm remembering correctly. So anyway, we have lots of examples of people in the black community, going, I'm going to forgive this person. And of course that's like a personal choice everybody's got to make. But if we think about it from like a socio-political perspective, that makes a lot of sense, because if they don't have a lot of power, what is the use of them getting angry? All it does is cause more harm, because they're not in a position to affect anything or change anything. So kind of as a spiritual practice, kind of from a historical perspective, it like truly absolutely does make sense to me. But in general, people reaching for that, it's we got to remember, like, healing is a process. No one says, okay, I'm done, healed, yeah. Handled. We have our feelings, we have our experiences, we process them, we go through them. And honestly, I personally strongly believe that's something that needs to be acknowledged and recognized. Like, that's the point of everything. Our entire lives, literally from the beginning, are a process of learning, of growing, of moving in a direction. And, if we don't keep doing that, sometimes stuff happens. Again, there's a reason I have this YouTube channel. But, it's not like no one expects this idea that we have, that people should just immediately transcend, like, let's say, non-positive experiences, non-positive emotions. When do we grow and we learn the most? When do we feel the most real? When are we so connected, like, you can't even, like, you can't live in some bullshit necessarily because you're in so much pain. Like, you're in so much pain. Your pain's not going to allow you necessarily to create a fantasy. Depending. I mean, there are always exceptions or circumstances and whatever. Children, that's why we do have dissociative identity disorder. But, in general, like, in regular life, when we are experiencing something really hard and it hurts, that's our gift. That's our opportunity to get down to the core of who we are. That lets us know what matters to us. That gives us, once we kind of deal with it, this, like, deep wellspring of strength and, faith and security in ourselves. So it's so toxic, the way we talk to people, instead of recognizing, like, this is all a process. Nobody's better than anybody else at any stage of the process, unless you're hurting people. Like, that's a no. We gotta not do that. But in general, one of the very first things that you need, if you're being harmed or traumatized or something's happened, you need it to stop. Then you need help. And you need validation about what happened, and then you need, like, the next thing and the next thing, and then after you're not in that active crisis situation, after you're safe, after you're to a point where you can, like, start to process, and then maybe you start conceptualizing, like, what happened to me? How did this go on? Well, how can I make it not happen again? You're, like, learning those lessons, you're working through it, and for somebody to pop up and say, oh, you need to let go and move on, you should be healed. Forget that person. They're stealing our opportunities for growth and learning, and condescending to tell us where we should be. Like, you got your own, you got your own path. Your path is your business. My path is my business. If you are here to show up and you are to help me, and I do get that a lot of people think they're helping, and they're just causing more pain. Like, you're not helping. All you're doing is creating resistance and invalidation and more pain and hurt, and now they don't trust you. A lot of people want us to be happy all the time and have moved on. It's very hard to be with someone who is struggling, in their feelings, who's maybe making not great choices, and no one necessarily has to be around that if that's not something that they're willing to do. We all got to make, choices that are best for ourselves, but it is hard to be with someone when they're, like, in a hard time. And so it makes sense that other people are like, no, but you don't have to feel this pain. All you have to do is do this different thing. Stop what you're doing. Do this other thing. And it's, what have we been talking about in interpersonal relationships when people are trying to control your actions, trying to control the way you think, trying to control the way you feel. It's well-intentioned, but that doesn't matter. They're coming at this place of trying to make you be different. And that's not their job. Their job is either to be in your life as a support or to take a step back according to what they, what they're feeling like they need to do. So anyway, forgiveness is a result of healing. It's not a cause. A result of healing, not the result of healing. It's not like you're not healed if you haven't forgiven somebody. The article that I wrote talks about how forgiveness is for the purpose of preserving relationships. People very often mistake concepts. And this is why I feel like it's so important to be very clear about what we're talking about. Letting go and acceptance of what happened, not the same as forgiveness. You can let go. You can accept what happened. You could be healed and moved on and have not forgiven nobody, except maybe, sometimes we blame ourselves for things, so maybe yourself. But in general, healing is not forgiveness is not the result of healing. It is a possible result of healing. And again, when people aren't respecting our individual path, our individual growth, our individual development, they're like goal-oriented. You should be doing this thing. You should be here. Literally the point of life is that it's a journey. And we are all taking our own journey. And so we pull in what we need, and hopefully we get people around us who support us. We find information that we need, and we're on this path. But ultimately it's my path. It's your path. It's not their path. And just because they're like, oh, I've been through this and I know what the answer is, and so if only you do this thing, then you don't have to go through this path, boo-boo. Knock it off. You are mistaking the end result for the cause, number one. Number two, it is not your path. You done your path, right? You need to not dictate to somebody else how to do their path. And you'll know someone's trying to dictate to you when they be telling you things. And you're just inside you're your skin's crawling and you just want to scream. How are you so blind? This isn't fair. Why are we talking about how I need to forgive this person when, I haven't even had justice yet. We don't necessarily ever get justice or technical closure or whatever. And again, that's our own experience to figure out. Yeah, it's our own experience to process. So just, well-meaning, but again, anyone coming at you from a controlling paradigm of trying to tell you what to think, feel, how to act, what you should be doing. It's be very careful about how much weight you give what they're saying. We like to give earnest, sincere, well-meaning people that we love the benefit of the doubt. But the thing is, they're not professionals. It blew my mind when I started therapy, the therapeutic process. And I also went to a psychiatrist. And never at any point did the professionals tell me and try to dictate to me what my healing process should be. They supported me along the way. They were there to listen to me. At the beginning, it was just listening to me as I, downloaded all my feelings and thoughts and sat there and sobbed. And, then it kind of moved to reflecting stuff back to me, and then becoming a sounding board, and then providing some insights, and then moving on to okay, here's some things you could use, and then maybe here are ways you could challenge yourself, and let me reflect back to you kind of this process that you've been through, with the firm understanding that it is a process. So if that's what the professionals are doing, then Joe Schmo with no degree, who just feels like they've read enough self-help articles, they've manifested, they've what's the other one? They've affirmations, they've produced they've maximized their production, and they've optimized all the things that can be optimized. Again, goal oriented, right? Which is fine for you. Do you? Have fun with that. But for anyone to turn around and dictate to you on your healing journey that you need to be done with it, does not understand how life works. That is not why we're here. We are not here to be like, okay, I'm healed now, great. Like, no, we're here to be in it. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. You don't get that, without the non-positive stuff. You don't get that if you just like, okay, I'm enlightened now. I've transcended human experience. I don't need this. Like, okay, well then, what are you doing here? Or, I mean, again, that's somebody else's path, and that's fine. But, in general, for most of us, the path is the point. We're not goal-oriented. We move in that direction, but, like, you haven't failed as a person because you aren't where someone says you should be. Like, that's not their business. So anyway, just, we need to have more respect for each other and stop trying to control. Like, respect that people are doing their own thing. And if their thing is not your thing, then that's okay. And if their thing is your thing, like, oh my gosh, more people to hang with. So hopefully this is something somebody needs to hear. It drives me crazy. It's why I've been writing articles about it for years. But it's the first time I've done a video on it. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day. I'll see you next time.